In this lesson, we're going to look at the very basics of Google Classroom and start off on the right foot using Google Slides to structure simple, media-rich lessons. Now, conceptually, it is important to understand that at the center of all Google Apps tools is Google Drive up in the cloud. All of the tools you use store your information on your Google Drive. Second, teachers can register their own Google account and have access to all of its tools. However, when their school board or district subscribes to Google G Suite, it is similar, but it has the added security of becoming a closed community for teachers and their students to interact, and some of the apps have additional features. For the purposes of this demo, I'm using
Hi, I'm
regular
Todd
Google
Phillips,
accounts
director of
outside of the G
Joker,
Suite.
and today we're
Now to
going to be
start, I
looking
have
at a
two
couple
different
samples.
accounts running in two separate browsers, EdNetCan and a FilmFest account, which will be, say, the class coordinator, and EdNetCan will
Hi,
be
I'm
the
Todd Phillips,
participant or the
director.
equivalent of a student. Now, as mentioned earlier, all of the Google Apps are connected to your Google Drive. And when you launch Classroom, it will create a folder in your Drive. And when you name a class, it will create a folder for that class. And so naming your folders, naming your classes becomes very important. And I'd strongly recommend that you name them with dates, because as the years accumulate, it'll be much easier to find classes. If you just do it by lettering, you might find yourself with 5 math classes and wondering which one you left a particular assignment in or a document in. This way, it's labeled by year, then in alphabetical order, much easier to find and locate material. Now, if we jump back to Google Classroom, we will see the corresponding classes for each of those folders that we just saw. So as we label our classrooms, folders are created for them that correspond with the class names that are given. And again, having the class dates in the name of the classes makes it easier to find those classes, especially if you're looking for previous years later on. Okay, so here I have two separate Google accounts running, and just a quick trick with respect to Google Drive. Let's say you're collaborating with another teacher and you want to share some resources with them. You can right click on a folder and you can go to the share option, type in their Google address, and then when they go to their shared with me option in their Google Drive, they'll see the folder and they can always add that to their own drive so that it's readily available and can be used when you're in Google Classroom. Okay, so for these two separate accounts, we're not going to leave Drive and go each into their own classroom. I'm going to scroll down and launch Classroom. Do the same over here. And the one on the left is going to be acting as the organizer, the teacher, or whatnot. So we're going to create a class. I click on this plus sign up here, create class, and let's call this one Film Analysis. Whoops, did you catch that? I didn't follow my own conventions. I didn't name it with the year 2020 first. Remember, you want to name it 2020 Film Analysis. I'll just go to the properties later on and change the class name, and I'll have to go to Google Drive because you'll notice that it created a classroom folder and it created a folder for this class and named it Film Analysis. So I'll have to rename that later as well to 2020 Film Analysis. But for this tutorial, we're going to continue on like this. We'll change it later. If we come back over here, we'll see all the list of classes that have been created so far. Now over here, you'll notice that there is a class code, and this class code can be emailed to potential candidates to join your class. Or you can also go over here to this People tab and you can invite students. So I will send an invitation. So I will send an invitation to this account, which is over on the right. And so when we go to the email, you'll notice I got an invitation to join the class, and I can hit join. So I'm looking at this from a student's point of view, and if I go back to, say, the list of all my classes, I could also have just clicked this plus sign and joined the class, and it would have asked me for that code. So as a teacher, you could have emailed the code earlier to a bunch of individuals and told them to go to Google Classroom and to join a class and enter this code. And that's how they would enter the code. They'd hit the plus sign, enter the code, and then join. But in this case, because I emailed them directly, they got it in their email. Now, for a second, we just flip over to a G Suite view. That is for school boards that are signed up for the G Suite packages. I'll do a similar invite. And now if we flip over to that student's account, this is the first screen they'll be encountered with. You'll notice it's a little different. In this case, they get the invitation directly in their Google Classroom with a link to join, so they don't even have to check their email. Okay, so at this point we have the student view, the teacher view. I'm going to come over here, and you'll notice I only have one class so far, so I want to create one more class just to populate this area. And this will be called Computer Programming in Python. Okay, so if we come back over here to my classes, we can see I now have two classes. You also see them in this pull-down list. So that's a quick way to navigate to your classes. And you'll see in a second there's a reason why I wanted to add that second class. But let's go back to our film analysis class. Let's say we're now ready to post something. I'm going to stretch this window to give us a little more real estate. There are several tabs under here. The first one is a stream. Now, every time you post something, it's kind of like Facebook. If you go to your home page and you see everything in order of dates that you've posted, different messages. Now, going back to one of my cluttered classes, here you can see what a stream looks like, and these are all the assignments or messages that were posted, and they're all stacked according to date, and it's very basic information. I typically don't use stream. I much prefer classwork. It's more visual, this view, and it helps you organize and structure your lessons a lot easier. And so let's start with that right now. The first lesson I'm going to create is an assignment. And I'm going to call this assignment Film Analysis. And I'll provide the instructions. So I typed out a title, and I've got a description of what they're to do, read the attachment, and then also attaches a table that they have to fill in their observations and submit. So there's going to be an expectation to complete an assignment here. Okay, at this stage of the post, there's a lot going on and some very key steps, in particular if you're going to have students submit an assignment. Now, normally I would post the material first, which is this, but in this case, just for demo purposes, I'm going to add the assignment sheet. So here's the instructions that they must go through, and they write in their analyses over here. And I find this a little bland, so maybe I'll add an image in here. Now you can go to your insert image and you can search the web, or you can go straight to Google and you can do a search there under images, and if you click this little tools bar you can get large high resolution images. You can go by usage rights if you want them to have Creative Commons only. So in this case I'm going to copy the image address, not the link address. I'm not going to the website. I want the image address. Come back over here, insert image by URL, paste it and insert it. And of course it's very large. Had I chosen a much smaller image, that would have made more sense when I was in the tools. You can do the formatting to have the text wrap around the image. So when I click on that, the image pops up like this. And now I'm going to go to the share and get the shareable link, copy the link, and I'm going to come over to my post. I'm going to say add with the link, paste that URL, add the link, and this is why it's key. You can only do this on your first posting of an assignment. I'm going to press on this pull down menu and say make a copy for each student. And the reason you can only do this the first time you assign an assignment is because once you hit assign, a copy of this analysis sheet will be sent to every student so that they can fill in their own individual analyses and then upload it and submit it. And I'll show you that when we finish the posting of this lesson. So next comes the addition of a slide. Now, earlier in Google Drive, you'll remember that I had a folder with my film analysis material in there. I'd already made it by going to this new button, slides, and making a new slide presentation. But for this demo, I'm going to come back over here, and let's say we were to create a slide. And I'm going to recommend that you use slides for creating interactive, media-rich assignments. They really do appeal to all sorts of learning styles, differentiated learning, and they provide students with multiple avenues for understanding, not just text explanations, but visuals and so forth for reinforcing concepts. Okay, so I'm going to name this Film Analysis, The Joker by Todd Phillips, and I'm just going to come over here and show you. I'm going to snap this tab off and show you how I did this. So for example, this was a text. I'd prepared it in Word. It's a simple text box. If I were to select all that text and copy it and come over here, go Insert Text Box, stretch and drag, that's the size of my text box, and just paste my text. And I gave this text box a color, so if I click on this over here, I can come to this option here with the paint bucket and just give the background a color. I also had instructions in here. I'm just going to copy those and make a text box. Paste that information in there. Now once this text is posted, I'm going to want to attach the form. Even though we gave the students a copy of the blank form, it's good to attach your template just so in future years if you want to use this assignment, you can find all of the associated documents because they can easily get lost. Now to make things a little quicker, I have the attachment link right here. So I'll select all, Command A, Command C to copy, come back over here. I had selected the text that I want to link. I'm going to go to the More button here, choose the Insert Link, and I'll just paste that URL link. And so now it's attached to my Google Doc for future reference. And here I'll copy my title, paste that over here. And then finally I had a video that I had put in there. The source of that video is in YouTube, and here's the URL. So I'm going to select the URL, Command C to copy, come back to my analysis, and this time I'm going to go Insert Video. You can search for the video here by typing the name of what you're looking for, in this case Todd Phillips Joker Analysis. It'll pop up, but I already have the URL, so I'll use this tab, Command V to paste. There it appears.
Hi, I'm Todd Phillips, Director of...
I hit select. It drops the video in there. And the nice thing about putting video clips in here is that you can shrink them, resize them. You can have multiple video clips in here if you're explaining multiple concepts. And you can also specify the start and stop time. So sometimes you might be downloading a 15-minute video, but you want it to play from, say, 30 seconds. And there you have it. You have an interactive lesson. And so let me close this. And if we open that, there's the formative lesson that we just created. The only thing that bothers me with this is the name, because when it's something that's pre-created, if I go to Add and I go to my drive, and there's the same assignment that was created in Google Drive. And how did I do that? I showed you earlier. You go to File, New, Google Slides Blank Presentation, and you can actually create it here in your folder and then go get it and insert it as an attachment. Okay, so the next thing is, what's the topic? So this is a part of an entire unit. I'm going to call this Film Analysis. You can attach the rubrics here. The due dates, that's entirely up to you. And this is going to all students in the class, but if it's only certain students, you can select who you want it to go to. And you can also schedule. Let's say, for example, you wanted to schedule this for release for tomorrow morning. You can set it to release on April 15th at 8 a.m. But if you want to assign it immediately, you can just click Assign. Okay, so now you can see that under the classwork view, you have a topic called film analysis, and under here you have an assignment you created called film analysis. And your topics, as you go through the year and add other topics, they'll all be listed down here. So jumping back to my G Suite Google Classroom class that's been crowded up through the years, I can look at topics by searching all topics, or I can click on specific units and all the lessons posted within that unit appear. And it just really becomes much simpler in terms of navigating through your units and finding your posts and your materials. Okay, so as you recall from the very beginning, we talked about how Google Drive was the hub for all of the Google apps. And in this case, it's storing information in Classroom. So let's see how Classroom interacted with your Google Drive. If we go back to Drive and we go to My Drive, you're going to notice it automatically created a Classroom folder. And this will be the case for the student as well. If we open the folder, remember I created a second class called Computer Programming. Here's our original class called Film Analysis. If I open that one, you'll notice that the assignment, the unit I pasted here for Film Analysis, it created a folder for that. And it also stored a copy that was sent out to the student. So now as they write in this, let's go to their end. And let's check out what the student is seeing. So they've got this post. They can go to classwork as well to see the post that was sent to them. And when they open it up, they can come in here, fill in the information, and when they're done, they can turn it in. Now, from the stream perspective, if they go back, they also have a visual button here. They can unsubmit an assignment if they've already turned it in, and let's say they still have time to go make some corrections. They can unsubmit it, open it up, go in, change some of their answers, and then turn it in again. Now, once that's turned in and it's submitted, they can't edit it until the teacher, they can only edit if they unsubmit it. And then the teacher can go through it and review the files. Let's go back to Classroom. So this is the teacher's perspective. We go to Film Analysis and we can see one student has turned in their assignment. So if I click on that, I can see there's the assignment that's been turned in. I can go in here and I can send some feedback. Let me open the menus here and put in some comments. And I insert my comment. I can give them a grade based on the rubric and then hit return. Now the assignment's been returned to them. Let's go back over here and let's start from scratch. The student logs in, they come, they check their work, they open it up, and there they have the comment that you made. So they can fix that, and once they've made the changes, they can hit resolve, meaning they've addressed your concerns, and they can turn it back in. If you go to your grades, you can see what you've given that student, and they've resubmitted it. You can alter the grade and so on and so forth. Okay, some other minor details with Classroom. If you want to make an announcement to your class, you can type an announcement in here and send it to your specific class, or you could send it to all your classes. Post it, all your students get it. Okay, so finally under classwork, there is a really nifty feature here under the create button. When you create an assignment, you can reuse a topic. And so as mentioned earlier, if you name your classes from the onset, and by the way, when I started this tutorial, I forgot to name it 2020 with the class name. I went back and changed it in here, and I changed the Google Drive folder name just to let you know I cheated. But you'll see the advantage here. If I go to create, reuse, post, all your classes will be labeled by year, and then I can go to, let's say it was 2020, and then all the assignments I posted during that year I can reuse, and then I could select it, reuse it, and I can make modifications to that post, add some new documents, and so on and so forth. Now, this little tab here, people, if you click on this and you want to email an entire class, you can. And if there are any modifications, I'd mentioned earlier I had to go back and change my class names because I forgot to do so at the beginning. You have all of your options in here, and you can turn on and off various features. And in G Suite now, you can also add a video meeting link into your classroom so that that video meet feature is always there, and you can just kind of link to it when you're going to be doing remote teaching. Now, in subsequent videos, we're going to look at how you can use Google Forms to create highly effective and interactive quizzes that use imagery and whatnot, and they're very good for quick assessments and feedback for students, and it's all automated. And we'll look at how you can use Google Slides to have students produce interactive lessons of their own, and then how you can integrate all of these into textbooks or e-text that become a collaborative learning platform for the entire class.